Wouldn't every one of us here say that we're a good communicator? Some of us might even say we're great. So what is it that makes us so good? Is it that we are completely present with people? Is it because we can hold others' attention with our pace, our tone of pace? Is it because we're truly knowledgeable about our subject? Absolutely, it's all of these that make us a good communicator. But there's more, isn't there? To bridging the gap between you and me, it takes something else, doesn't it? Connection, true connection. If the yardstick for being a great communicator were all of those things, and in addition, it was your ability to listen to someone and have them feel totally heard, feel valued and interesting. Then, now, how would we measure up? I think all of us would agree that strong connection improves communication. And it's a fundamental business tool. Many of us, however, I think, confuse lengthy verbal contact or physical contact with making that emotional connection. Physical contact, verbal contact. I think we teach this every day in our offices, don't we? Smile, use open body language, put your hand on their shoulder, ask questions, and talk, and talk, and talk. That's contact. Often we stop at contact. We feel like the exchange is complete at contact. It's just the first half. Connection's different, isn't it? Connection is that non-physical exchange, that emotional exchange between you and another. Listening and feeling what they're feeling. Contact plus connection equals complete communication. That completes the circle for being a good communicator. I'd like to convince you that making connection is probably, just might be, the most cost-effective, simple, yet most powerful marketing tool we could place. Many of you may recognize this next story. It was a spring in Sacramento. Sacramento's really warm and beautiful. The orange trees were blossoming and the grass was getting green and everything was coming alive. And my allergies kicked in. Dang. So I called my doctor, Dr. Ron. And at the time, he'd been my doctor forever. Cheryl answers the phone. She asks her standard 3 questions. Had any changes? What are your symptoms? And do you have that cloudy, mucusy congestion, that green gunk coming out your nose? So I answer her thoughtfully and carefully. I arrive at my appointment. She greets me with a smile. She looks me directly in the eyes, and she asks me the same 3 questions. Again? So I answer again. Wally, the medical assistant, smiles sweetly, calls my name, takes me to the exam room, takes my blood pressure. As he's taking my blood pressure, Melinda, you had any changes? Do you have that green gunk coming out of your nose, Melinda? I think to myself, wow, this is the 3rd time. Do these people not communicate? Do they not listen? Do they not care? And suddenly, whoosh, in opens the door. Dr. Ron arrives. He locks onto my chart. A couple minutes later, he looks up and he asks, you guessed it. Well, that was my last visit there, of course. When you think about that experience, it's an interesting experience. They made contact with me several times, didn't they? They smiled, they used open body language, they were friendly. It was a successful visit. I walked out with a prescription. But at any moment, did any of the team members make contact with me? Moreover, did Dr. Ron make connection with me? Did he listen? Did they have any idea about how long I'd been there? Did they act like they really knew me? I've been a patient for a long time. They made contact, but they never completed the circle, did they? So I sought a different kind of internist, Dr. Max. I love her. To this day, I love her. She's incredible. That first visit, we sat at a round table. I was fully clothed. That was an amazing thing. And she asked me not those standard questions, not all those automatic questions. Of course she asked me about my health. She asked me about my family. She asked me about my relationship with my husband. Dr. Max, she asked me brave questions. She did. She did. She asked me what was happening with my children and my circle of friends. She was curious about me. I felt like she really wanted to know me. And she didn't just do it at that visit. She actually remembered me. She remembers me from visit to visit. Dr. Max, she made contact the same way as Dr. Ron. Absolutely. But she completed the circle for me by really listening, being there for me and listening, time and again. Two very simple tools to making connection. Be interested and discover. You with your clients, doctors with patients, doctors with team members. So being interested. Wow, when we're in any single conversation, we drift in and out, don't we? It's perfectly human. In fact, we speak at 125 words per minute, and we think 4 times faster. That's a big gap, isn't it? So what do you do with the gap? Use that gap to be interested. Now, sometimes we're naturally interested in others, aren't we? You know, our best friends, our favorite patients, it's easy to be interested in them. But the truth is, we're not always interested in other people, aren't we? We're just not. What do we do then? That's where practicing the discipline of being interested really pays off. It pays off in increased referrals, patient loyalty, and motivation of others. Be interested and discover. Discovery it's asking those questions, but it doesn't stop with asking the questions. I think we're good at asking questions. It's remembering the answers. It's discovering what's important to the other. Be interested and discover. Actually, at the core, this is a pretty simple technique, isn't it? In fact, we all do it, I think, occasionally. I believe we all want to do it consistently. So why don't we? And it's probably different for all of us. But our human nature, we're naturally self-absorbed. Dang it. We're just self-absorbed. If you think back to the cocktail party last night, it was buzzing, there's cocktails, there's friends, there's food. There's a lot of contact going on, isn't there? There's hugs and shaking of hands and kisses and, talking and questions, lots of contact. But if I asked you in this moment to remember 10 new things that you learned about the people at the cocktail party last night, could you tell me? What about 5? I promise you, making connection is deeply rewarding. There is no good reason to shortchange yourself or others.